Hey everyone, thanks for being here for this AMA session. We are very excited to have CatchCoin team joining us today to present their project. CatchCoin aspires to position itself as a leading and most dependable application to drive foot traffic to businesses in any events. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Nick from the team. Nick, pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, hold on, Nick. I think, hey, Agwan, if you're not from the team, I'm going to go ahead and mute you for now. Okay, brother, hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, hey, we will have a chance to, you guys will have a chance to ask questions towards the end of the AMA, okay? But we can go through the AMA first. Nick, again, pleasure to have you here. If you can start out introducing yourself, talking about your team, and giving us a bit of insight into your background and experience.
Sure. My name's Nick Loris. I'm the CEO of CatchCoin. Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. My background primarily is in really all facets of finance, everything from mortgage to securities, and I spent a long time doing consulting work for private equity. I got involved in crypto back in 2019, dove in with a personal passion, not really thinking anything along the lines of doing anything professionally with it. But after, quite a few years and really understanding the power of blockchain and the level of disruption to traditional industries that this technology can bring, and then integrating it with my background in finance, it all kind of came together. And I found myself connected with CatchCoin, and it brought us right here today.
Appreciate the introduction there, Nick. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your team. You guys have a pretty big team with extensive background, right? In business and in crypto. So you guys have put together a pretty amazing team. Now, Nick, maybe I didn't hear you, but what is your role in the project again?
I'm the CEO of CatchCoin.
CEO. Okay. So you're the big boss, huh, Nick?
I try to be.
Being the CEO is actually there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, right? And I was in corporate management for 13 years, Fortune 500, and I was reading leadership books. Was a quote by Lao Tzu, which is actually Confucius' teacher. He says, "To be a leader, you got to walk behind them. You got to walk behind your team." That's pretty powerful stuff, right? To lead people, you got to walk behind them. That's very powerful stuff there.
100%.
All right, Nick. So yeah, I think we had, like I mentioned earlier, we had a private meeting with you guys, and the idea is brilliant, and come from a business background like myself, and I can definitely see the vision and the mission of the project. So your idea is that to bring traffic to businesses or pretty much any events out there. So now before we dive deep into your project, because your project is actually live right now, I'd like to get some basic stuff out of the way. So my first question for you is, when was it launched? How was it launched? And what was the starting market cap?
Okay, so there's a little bit of a story behind it. We initially launched on PancakeSwap. We originally launched off of Pink Sale on April the 3rd, I believe it was. And we locked our liquidity on PancakeSwap. And that was our initial path. That was where we felt we needed to be. However, in the process, we built a very strong, small but very tight community. And I started really engaging with the community. And I started to realize that maybe we weren't in the best specific place we could be. We were on Binance Smart Chain, and we were finding that a lot of our investors, even if they were participating with us, they were communicating to us that they would be participating at a higher level if we were to find ourselves on the Base network, which is the new kid on the block when it comes to two-layer network on Ethereum. So after a couple of weeks of really careful consideration and getting a lot of very consistent requests by the community, not only our internal community, but a lot of people we were interacting with on the outside. We came to the conclusion that it would be absolutely best for us and give us the highest potential to switch. So we actually relaunched on base, and our market cap shot, I think it was reading just over 2 million. It was before the little bit of the crash happened. Since then, it's come down a little bit, but I think we're still a good 15x up from where we started on April the 3rd. So feeling really good about the move. It opened up a lot of new relationships and doors for us. And I'm feeling now that we're on our absolute final path.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You guys had quite a journey there, huh? So started out over BNB chain, and you guys migrated to Base. So for those that may not know what Base is actually a Coinbase chain. Coinbase is one of the biggest exchanges out there, and they're from United States. So yeah, it's been getting a lot of hype, a lot of attention over there, a lot of liquidity is going over there right now. I can definitely see why you guys want to move over there as well. But you said 15x since April 3rd. That's pretty impressive. That's actually really impressive, actually. All right, sounds good. Now, my last question on that is that do you guys have any vested token left that our community should know about?
Vested tokens, locked tokens, yes. So essentially, the way that the model works is we have a buy and a sell tax that generates reflections for coin holders. So the company holding the largest number of tokens, we locked away a significant portion of the tokens, and we're able to receive a portion, our pro rata share of the reflections that come as a result from the tax. And that is how we plan on funding and pushing the fulfillment of the development of the app, as well as pushing into both the customer loyalty and digital advertising markets. So those coins are right now scheduled for release over the next quarter two of 2025, quarter two of 2026, and quarter two of 2027. However, again, through this transition, when I first came into this, I basically said, I believe in the market, and I'm going to let the market and the community dictate to us the trajectory of the project. How aggressively are we going to move into these spaces? And that was really dependent on resources. So when I came into this, I left it to the community. The community basically dictated to us that what they wanted to see was, the goalpost being the first immediate potential deployment of the app. So rather than setting the goalpost for full saturation of the digital advertising market, which is very difficult to penetrate because of the size and scope of the marketing that would be needed in order to create the symphony necessary of both users and merchants simultaneously, we decided to start, small and penetrate first the customer loyalty market, where a single account, we would only need to capture the customers of the individual account so that they could participate in the customer loyalty program of the businesses that they were already attending. Now, this is a much easier market to capture because it doesn't require that large symphony of both users and merchants. So we kind of modified our roadmap. We recently announced to the community, it's going to be updated shortly, that we were going to have a target for being at least in a first real use case scenario by the holiday season this year, Christmas season this year, for peak retail season. And because of that, we're now shifting gears a little bit to make the tokenomics now match the new ambitions of the new roadmap. So with that being said, all of this is kind of in process right now of being figured out. Now, I came to the conclusion that if I'm going to accelerate things, then a lot of those resources have to be tapped. However, I'm not trying to dilute my community that just basically did the most amazing thing I've ever seen any community do, which was assist us in every way you could imagine in the transition from Binance over to Base. Like, not only did the community, tell me that that's what they wanted, and they helped us to understand exactly how we could do it. But they literally sent us like 15 or 16 million coins so that we could sell them and move the liquidity because it was locked. So because of that trust and that relationship that we now built, I thought, okay, well, how am I going to accelerate this and pull more coins? The next round of coins is supposed to be 14 million coins. So we've been hard at work trying to identify how we can create a scenario that will not only allow us to accelerate the plan, but also show our appreciation to the community and everything that they've done up until this point in assisting us in that move from Binance over to Base. So what we're really, and I haven't said this out loud once anywhere yet, and it's something that it hasn't exactly been planned out to the T, but what we want to do is really heavily focus on that deflationary side and start burning the coins rather than allowing them to dilute the community that has showed us so much support at this point. So a lot of news is going to be coming out about this. But if you look at the tokenomics and you see how many coins are outstanding, and then you look at what we're going to be doing with these burns, it's not only going to make the coin more scarce, obviously the traditional reasons for burning reduce the supply, but it's also going to change the dynamic of the way that the revenue per token is distributed, because if we're burning tokens that we're holding, that revenue will start to get shifted back over to the rest of the coin holders, which is our community. So essentially, we want to give them an opportunity to not only increase their percentage of ownership through the burn, but to also achieve a higher level of reflections from that very same burn. So I know that's a little bit of a complicated answer, and we're kind of in motion right now. Nothing has been fully announced as to how this will work or how we'll make it work, but probably within the next few days into next week, it'll start to take shape and form, and all that information will be made available for everyone to start to digest.
No, I think what you said there was actually incredible. The fact that the community trusted you guys to help you with the process transition to Base by literally voluntarily send back the tokens, right? That requires a lot of trust. So that tells me that you guys have a great community out there. But it's also very awesome that you guys are very mindful of them and how you guys are thinking how to repay them, right? Or to build off that trust that they have given you guys, which you kind of alluded to there. Nothing fixed in stone yet, but deflationary tokens, right? Making it deflationary. So ultimately reducing the total supplies and figure out a way how to give them passive income, which is through reflections. And I'm pretty sure that as we go through here, we will go more in depth on the thought process as we go into the project here. So that's actually really awesome. Yeah, thanks for that out of the way. Since the project's launched, I want to make sure I get those basic things out of the way so that way our community understand the project better. So let's go back to the I guess the core value of the project here, Nick. I know you touched on it already, and I think we have an idea what the project's about. But if you can let us know what inspired you to come up with this idea, what do you see that's missing out there where you want to tie the Web3 into the business?
So for me, I came onto CatchCoin's team after CatchCoin had been pretty much developed, founded. The concept of it, I was not a part in forming, and when I came across CatchCoin, I'm very observant. I've been in the as a blockchain crypto investor since 2019. I've been watching, my background traditionally is in finance, so I watch a lot of the traditional markets. I've seen how innovation changes the world that we live in very rapidly. I've seen the disruptive nature of a lot of the stories or we've all heard of, everybody remembers the days when you used to go rent movies on Friday night at Blockbuster, and then Netflix came out and bang, there's no more Blockbuster. I remembered seeing the level of disruption that Uber created by hooking drivers directly to customers and creating a level of efficiency and cutting out all of that fat and that waste and all of that excess profit, and giving an opportunity for value that had yet to be seen in that industry. So I was familiar. My pattern recognition, my ability to observe these things had set into me. And then when I came across CatchCoin, I mean, it hit me like lightning. I just looked at it and went, oh my God, this is the same thing. It's just a different industry. We're going to give business owners an opportunity to directly connect with their customers in a way that they've never been able to do before. And when you really start to wrap your head around how the app works, you know, the merchant is able to choose the exact type of customer that they want based on several demographic points, from interest, behaviors, income, age, all these different things that are in the user profile or compounded with their behaviors. So you can choose who you want to advertise to directly. You can choose when you want to incentivize them showing up at your business. And then you don't have to pay for any of this advertising until the person is physically in your location and they physically capture the value that you're extending to them for them showing up. Now, at that moment, a single exchange of value has taken place. The merchant, you know, was able to capture the information from the user profile and now understands at a higher level who it is that's responding to his value proposition. And the user, with no obligation, is able to capture stablecoins because they decided to visit. So now that that transaction's over, immediately the user gets a notification that says, thank you very much for stopping by. If you'd like to participate in today's promotion, you can get another 50% or 2 for 1 or 3 for 5 or whatever it is, whatever the merchant decides the promotion is going to be, but they get to make another value proposition and maybe even connect with that person on a level where they can capture that value back again that they just put out for advertising through a brand new transaction with a new customer. So that dynamic, that the power that has to be able to cut out the fat, eliminate the lack of efficiency, and remove all the traditional barriers, allowing those merchants to really connect with their prospective customers. For me, when I saw that and I understood it, and I compared it to all the other examples that I've had over the last several years of the digification of an industry, I thought that it was an absolute perfect match. As an entrepreneur myself, I saw the value in it. As a consumer myself, I saw the value in it. And I thought, this is going to be, very, it's going to be a very difficult, long commitment. It's, this is like intense 7 days a week, nonstop. I'm full time. I knew exactly what this was going to do in terms of committing me, but I know exactly how life-changing and world-changing it is going to be when we're successful at putting this out and giving both sides, the users and the merchants, the opportunity to really capture the value from this system.
I agree 100%. It's funny because my friends and I would just had a talk about, Blockbuster and Hollywood video, right? The era that we grew up on, and like you said, Netflix just put them out of business, right? And just because they weren't thinking forward, right? They were not willing to adapt. But yeah, so when I first heard your guys' idea, I think it's a brilliant idea. Having a brick and mortar store myself as well, I definitely see the benefit to this. So now there are two sides to the business concept, right? And I want to get ultimately through this AMA, I want to get to both sides. There's a business side and there's also the consumer side, which both sides are equally important, right? Because one side needs the other side, right? In order for the business to succeed. Now, for those who may be just tuning in right now, so the idea of this, the core value of this business here is to drive traffic to businesses. So pretty much any events. So let's talk about that, Nick. So let's say I'm a business, right? I'm a business. When you say create a value proposition, right? and allowing consumers or your user base, the users, to come in, and they get the incentive only when they come in at the location. So it's pretty much 100%, right? So that means that, as you know, right now you have a lot of advertisements out there, even Google, whatever, you click on it, but there's no ROI. It's not 100% return on your investment. So here the customer has to show up at the business, correct there, Nick, in order for
That's
them to get
correct.
that.
Exactly.
So
It
that's
works like
actually
Pokemon Go. Using augmented reality and geolocation, they're able to see it through their camera, capture it into their wallet, and get it confirmed through a geolocation system that basically proves they were physically in the location when it was captured.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Actually, that kind of changed the game a bit, right? Because now you have to be like at the location, right? Instead of just clicking on links and get paid no matter what, right? So sometimes as a business, you lose a lot of money from doing that, just by clicking, just by people just clicking on it. Now let's go in depth on the process, Nick. So let's say if I have a business, for example, let's say a clothing store, for example. What type of value proposition can a business create, to, I guess, incentivize your user and your platform to go there? Then let's do both sides. Like, I guess the benefits from the user side, from the business side, and the benefits from the consumer side as well.
Sure. So, there's two different markets. There's customer loyalty and there's digital advertising. So they run side by side, but they can both utilize the system basically the same way. Now, if you were a clothing store, as an owner, I would know what the type of clothing was, the genre was. Was it men's clothes? Was it kids' clothes? Was it women's clothes? So I would be able to pick and choose who I was pointing my campaign at. And then I would choose a time that maybe I wasn't as busy, off-peak hours. So I would set the campaign up to point the advertising at the demographics that I thought were most likely to desire the type of clothing or products that I offered. And then I would set up the timing for when I wanted to make this value proposition. Maybe you want it to be during all of your open hours and you want to drive traffic all day. Or maybe you're very busy at certain times and you want to target specific hours for when you want the people to show up. So you choose that in your campaign, and then you make a decision. It would be much different, say, for an ice cream shop than it would be for a car lot. So to just, create some more dynamics for you, the value proposition for an ice cream shop might be $2 in stablecoin and then a buy one, get one free on an ice cream cone. Where with a car lot, it might be $50 to show up. However, it would have to be certain income bracket. They target the exact customer they want. And then when they show up, they capture the stable coin. And then with proof of purchase, they can get another $500 off of value based on the purchase of a car. So the values themselves can be fluctuated based on the business and the owner and what they're willing to risk in order to get that engagement, to get them in the door, and then what they're willing to release as far as value for them making a specific purchase of a specific value, or however that dynamic works for their business. So whether it's an ice cream store, a clothing store, or a car lot, they can change and configure the system in order to attract the person that they want at the time they want and use whatever they feel the value proposition would be to entice that traffic.
Got it. Got it. So when you say target the right demographic, so I'm assuming that ultimately your app will also have a profile where you guys will know, or I guess your consumer or your user base will fill out what they're interested in, right? Is that how it
Correct,
works?
exactly. There's a user profile that will request an abundance of information. The more information that they give, the more likely they are to see value in their app. Over time, as they visit places and they participate, maybe they go everywhere and collect stable coins and participate all the time in certain specific interests and behaviors. And that can be pinpointed and built over time into their profile. So it's not just the information that is provided on the front side, but it's also the continuous behavioral patterns that we achieve to capture as data points as they participate.
Got it. Got it. and ultimately, you guys will have all this analytics where the business will also able to look at it and analyze that and kind of fine tune and I guess run the target accordingly. So I guess you guys will provide those analytics to the business ultimately uh,
The
as well,
analytics
correct?
are very powerful and they provide an enormous amount of value, not only to the individual businesses, but to ours as well. Over time, the amount of data collected is just, it's priceless.
Okay. So now I assume that you guys will ultimately will charge the businesses to advertise or to advertising in the platform. What about the consumer side? Is there a fee that the consumer, you guys charge the consumer as well?
No, no. We don't have any intentions to charge the consumer. We want the value to flow directly to the consumer. We had certain market analysis done that concluded we would be able to charge the merchants as much as 20% on a traditional Web2 app. Because we're doing this as a Web3 dApp, we wanted to incentivize the adoption. We wanted to make the barrier of entry so low that we would incentivize somebody who was maybe familiar with Web3 but had never integrated it into their business, feel that the value was there to justify them taking that leap and converting into our system for their ad spend. So when they sign up with us, maybe there would be some sort of yearly, monthly subscription fee to access the system. That would be, charged however it was set up, monthly, yearly, whatever. And then we only wanted to collect 5%. So essentially, the business can now take 95% of their ad spend minus the subscription fee, which will be reasonable, and they can put it directly in the pocket of their customers in exchange for getting them to show up. So, I mean, if you can, I'm sure as an entrepreneur, you could understand the value of being able to channel 95% of that value directly to the exact type of customer you want when you want them and only pay for them when they show up. Tremendous.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's a great strategy because I think, especially at the early stages of the business, right? I think getting the mass adoptions and awareness is crucial. So I like that strategy for sure. Yeah, I think that's very basic. I think it's actually it's a brilliant idea. Now let's walk with me through the consumer side. I guess how do people get on board? Are your apps live yet?
No, so the app we're anticipating to be live towards the end of this year. When the time comes, what we're going to do first is penetrate the customer loyalty market. And the reason why is because we would only need to achieve the partnerships with the initial merchants that we're going to put our system in place in order to incentivize their pre-existing customers through what you would consider like a traditional customer loyalty program, rather than stamping the cards and walking around trying to remember which card for which place and to get your free milkshake. Now it's on your phone, it's in an app, and it makes it super easy to participate. And the actual businesses will get a media kit so that they can make all of their customers aware, hey, we're using CatchCoin, collect your value, download the app. And we want to do this to showcase the app. We want to do this to become profitable. We want to do this to get a brand recognition, to get out there in the market. We want to do this for a number of foundational reasons. And then once we have that consistently growing, adding on new customers, then we'll look to pivot and we'll look to penetrate the digital advertising market, which again, it's a symphony that needs to take place. It needs to be many users in order to incentivize a merchant from signing up, because without the eyeballs, there's no value for them. And then for the user has to feel like if they download the app, they're going to get value. So we can't possibly, put 1 million users on and only have 3 merchants. Now, the way that we plan on being able to achieve the downloads when the time comes would be to utilize our system itself. And what I mean by that is we have a plan to use traditional advertising to let everybody know in their area, whether it was regional or statewide or nationwide, whatever that target market that we were looking to capture would be. And we would use traditional advertising to let people know that in that area, we would be doing cash drops. So if you download the app, maybe there's a puzzle or some hints or a game or something, but maybe in New York City, we're going to be dropping piles of $1,000 all over the city. And we'll pump that out over traditional advertising. And when people find out, hey, I can download this app and maybe win this money, we will be able to incentivize the growth of our own business strategically, geographically, and in one pocket at a time.
Yeah, thanks for answering that, because that's actually what's going to be the next question I was going to ask you is, what are the plans for marketing? Because like you said there, right, a business like this, where you need the consumer, you need the user base for the businesses to value, so vice versa. So I'm glad that you guys have thought about that, and you guys are mindful about that, and you guys decide to go on traditional marketing to get that. And I think it's a brilliant idea actually to do an airdrop locally. I think that's actually very brilliant. To get things going, So let's walk with me through the free airdrops. What is that about? Because the whole thing here is for people to actually earn stable coins, correct? So when a user go to a business that they're interested in, they actually earn stable coins like money, correct?
Absolutely. So they'll be able to take that stable coin and use it in that secondary promotion at that business, or they could just simply download it into their wallet. Their user information goes to the merchant, and that's the end of it right there. They can leave with their value and go and, spend it wherever they like.
Yeah, so for those that are listening, that kind of reminds you guys that kind of like that. What is that game that kind of popped up? I've never played it, but I've heard about it. Pokemon Go, right? So you go around and you look for things and you earn prizes or rewards. But here, the business concept here is that they want people to actually go to the business, right? And actually earn money. So it's very beneficial for both sides, right? Who doesn't like money? Who doesn't like passive income? But the same token, as a business owner myself, I know how much a business can spend a lot of advertising money, and you don't get the ROI, return on investment, because there's no there's no guarantee, right? Because now everything is based off a click, right? Everything else, I'm gonna click the link, you end up paying like a few cents, 10 cents, depending on your target audience and what you're trying to sell. But sometimes there's no return on investment at all. So this is actually, it kind of cut right through all this BS and kind of send people directly to the business. So to me, I think it's kind of like a game changer in a sense.
Absolutely revolutionary when you really get to understand the value it brings to the merchant and the value that it brings to the day user, especially in times when brick and mortar businesses are suffering from e-commerce, especially in times when people are looking to save every dollar they can in hopes of not getting any further affected by the inflation. If you knew that you could visit your favorite coffee shop and all you had to do was go there a half an hour or an hour earlier in their off-peak times to participate in this, grab a few dollars in stable coin, and then be able to purchase your favorite products from that business simultaneously. It's a game changer. Pokemon Go had 600 million users, and I still haven't wrapped my head around what anybody actually got out of it. They had a brilliant model, and to be able to look at this and say, wow, what in an amazing creative way did they use the same technology to create a system that would allow so much value to everybody involved. And, again, for me personally, when I really wrapped my head around it and I understood what we could do with this, I got very, very excited and was willing to do anything possible to get it out to the world.
Yeah. Now, when I think about the ecosystem, because this is actually huge. I mean, if you guys implement it the way that you guys want to implement it, or your vision of it is huge, right? So would you consider this ultimately be like a social media platform as well?
That's a really good observation. In some ways, you would imagine that it does have some social media type characteristics. I don't know that we would want to do anything to clutter the concept or the mission, but just the fact that it is bringing people together digitally, I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, I definitely foresee that. I think ultimately, if you guys growing this in a way that you guys, speaking right now, you're speaking to me right now, because the engagement is what you need, right? The productivity within your application, and in order for people to, I guess, stay loyal and continue the engagement. And I definitely can see the social media aspect of it, just to ensure that people stay on your platform. Kind of like what Facebook is doing, except for they kind of pretty much uh, centralized, so everything goes back to them, right? So nothing goes back to the business, nothing goes back to the users. So here it's a different case because now you guys are giving back to the people and the businesses as well. So I think that's a big difference there.
100%. And also, I want to include that the ecosystem also participates in the revenue of the business. So we're planning on charging the subscription fee, and we're planning on charging the 5% for the usage of the system and the value that they put in the system for their prospective customers. So if you were to take that as the company revenue, we're going to be sending 20% of that revenue back to the coin holders. So we have to do that in our native token. So the business itself will be generating stablecoin, and then the business itself will become eventually the largest purchaser of CatchCoin, because we'll be purchasing that CatchCoin back in order to pay those reflections. And this further fuels the ecosystem, because if you look at, we already have a 1% burn on the sale tax, and we add money to the liquidity. So over time, as you see the liquidity get stronger, the supply gets smaller, and the actual revenue from the utility kick in, I don't think many people are going to want to sell their CatchCoin because of the passive income that's coming, and the fact that it's constantly growing. This is something that we could take, almost to any business you could possibly think of worldwide. So, even if we only captured a very, very small percentage of what's available to us, we would be wildly successful, and everybody that participated in our ecosystem would be wildly successful. And that's, firmly what our goal was to create a scenario where everybody that got involved could feel like an absolute winner. And I believe that this system can do that.
Yeah, I was looking at your taxes and the way that you talk about the deflationary token ultimately, and what percentage says, let's say when the system grows and you have a bunch of businesses on board and is able to generate real revenue from the businesses, what percent of the revenue is going back to the ecosystem, you said?
20% of the total revenue of the company, the system, is going back to the ecosystem in the form of reflections, which are airdropped to our holders. So like right now, our holders are getting reflections just based on the buy and the sell tax for the volume. It'll be the same exact thing, but it'll be done resulting from the 20% revenue from the company. And that's also 20% that the company is going to have to constantly purchase CatchCoin, which is going to increase the volume, and there is the burn tax on the sale. So it's like a perpetual flywheel.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a bit. 20% goes back to the holders based off, the in proportion to how much you hold, how much tokens you hold. And that's the same thing as reflection as well. So currently, right now on the buy and sell tax, what is the buy and sell tax anyway? And let's break down the tokenomics. What is buy and sell, and where is it going to currently?
Okay, so the buy tax is 3%. 1% goes to the token holders. 1% goes to the liquidity pool, and 1% goes to operations. And then the sale tax is 6%. And it's 2% goes to the token holders, 2% goes to the liquidity pool, 1% is going to operations, and 1% is going to be burned on the sale.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's not too much on the buy. It's 3% and 6% on the sell, and 1%. So now the burn is only 1% off the sell only, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's not bad at all. I mean, I I remember when all this the tax came out years back, 3 years back, and it was like 20%, 15%, 30%, and people are still buying it, right? And people are just buying it just to get the reflections only, just pure reflections. There's no revenue strategy coming out from the outside. Just pretty much buying, selling, just the ones that hold, just sit there and get a reflection. And I'm not sure why all those coins went like crazy to like a few hundred millions. uh, the
Everybody
difference here is
loves passive income,
right,
passive income is the key.
right. But the difference here is that you guys actually have a real business model where you're actually going to be generating real revenue, right? Not just off the buy and sell tax, right? Like a lot
Correct.
of
A
of the
substantial
projects.
amount of more money.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, I see so many projects like that's pretty much their business model. It's just off the buy and sell tax. That's it. So, you know,
It's all hot air. It has no
it's
longevity and no sustainability. Only where you can create true value in commerce can you find true longevity and true sustainability.
exactly, exactly. I always tell my team too, was like, when I see it, you got to have a real business model. And you guys came from a real business background. I can see how the idea came about. Yes, a brilliant idea. Now, is it going to be very easy to implement? It's not. Just like every real business out there, it's going to be hard, right? But that's just the nature of business. But the idea is brilliant. The idea is actually, man, if you guys are able to implement this, and this is the type of project that I really want to see succeed, because I hate the traditional marketing platforms like Facebook and Google and all that. I hate them. I use them, but I hate them. So there needs to be a decentralized platform like this.
I absolutely share that sentiment with you, having my own personal experience with both Google and Facebook. They are capturing as much for themselves as they can, and they're not leaving much for everybody else. And we wanted to be the exact opposite. We wanted everyone that participated to truly participate. From the user to the merchant to those in our ecosystem that are giving us not only the support now as we grow, but also in the future, forming the strategic partnerships with community members, or I have even advisors that have just became my advisor from the community. So this entire project was, how we could utilize the system to create value for everyone.
Awesome. Where are you from, Nick? What state are you in? I'm assuming that you're from the States.
So I was born in New Jersey. I grew up in South Florida, and I've been living in on the Central Pacific coast of Costa Rica for about almost 12 years now.
Oh wow, wow, you like it there?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I've been buying my organic fruits and veggies off the same farmer for the last like
That's awesome.
9 years that I'm here. So I couldn't possibly conceive living anywhere else. It's beautiful, the nature, the everything about it, the energy, the vibe. I was here through COVID, everything about it. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
That's awesome. Now, are you a full time Web3 now, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm 7 days a week, 12 plus hours a day. I'm living, eating, and breathing CatchCoin.
That is awesome. So you fully committed and devoted to the project,
Oh yeah, 100%.
which is very important. That's the reason why I asked. That's actually very important. In a project of this magnitude, it requires a full-time CEO in order for it to become successful, right? This is actually a massive idea, and if implemented successfully, if you guys are a first holder, you guys invest now, then the passive income is going to be massive. I think that's going to be huge. Now, how's the development process going as far as the app? Is it going according to the plan thus far?
Yeah, so we have the front end. We did some new user interfaces, so they're being attached now. The back end is also getting new user interfaces. So they were just finished, I believe, and once the front end is built out, then they'll start working on the back end in the portal. We have 6 smart contracts that we plan on using for the mechanics of it. There's a list of them somewhere. It's the geolocation contract, a campaign management contract, a reflections management contract, and these 6 different smart contracts are what give it functionality. So they're needing to be developed and integrated is pretty much the only big haul, time-consuming part that's left. We anticipate that we'll have it ready for this retail Christmas season, and ready for for the full rollout, obviously in 2025.
So around quarter 4 of this year, Christmas. Okay, and that's on the iOS and the Android as well.
That'll be correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think we have a very clear understanding of the business model. Very ambitious. I love it. Actually, I love the idea. It's one of the projects where I really want to see succeed. I think it's actually necessary for businesses as well. Having a business myself, I think it's actually I can see the benefit for every business out there. Now, of course, the hardship comes is again that the user base, right? Enough targeted audience within a certain radius of your business, right? In order for the business to find value in it, of course, that's going to be a challenge, right? But I'm sure you guys also have plans like you kind of spoke on there earlier. Uh, you guys have planned to do traditional marketing and do airdrop. Now let's elaborate on the airdrop. What is that airdrop? Just like a free tokens for the people that are interested in the project to raise awareness to the platform. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
pretty much?
so you'll turn on the radio or you'll pull up your Facebook or whatever, and it'll basically tell you that CatchCoin is in your area. We're going to be dropping $50,000 and different increments all over the city. Say it's New York, and if you download the app throughout the day, follow our Twitter, we're going to be giving hints as to where these cash drops are being made. We can drop tokens anywhere we want, any longitude and latitude. We can put them out in the middle of the ocean and make it so people have to take a boat to get them, or we could get creative and do anything we want in order to create a level of engagement and a level of gamification, and a level of value being proposed to anybody that would consider downloading our app. And upon doing that, and the explosion of people, because if you follow the trends with marketing, anytime there's free money involved, you get everybody's attention very quickly. So we want to utilize that as leverage to get us into that pool of people. Maybe, like I said, we'll do customer loyalty first. We'll only advertise to the customers of the businesses that adopted our system. And then once we get a certain level of profitability, a certain level of brand recognition, a certain level of traction and content creation and press releases, and we feel that it's just gotten gelled to the right point, then we'll go ahead and do what we're talking about with, maybe it'll be, the original plan, if we're fully max out funded, would be 10 major metropolitan cities and 35 regional cities, all pretty much simultaneously. But we're not, nothing is in stone. As I move through space and time, I feel that our survival and our ability to thrive is heavily on our ability to adapt and change. So if the time comes and it makes sense to pick out a few target areas and a few target cities and work on a specific region first and get that level of saturation and profitability and then bring it somewhere else, then that's what we'll do. I want to make sure that, we don't cross too many bridges until we get to them, because, in the world we're living in the speed that everything's changing, you don't want to be too rigid. If you're too rigid, you break. So I want to be flexible and I want to adapt and change as we move forward to really squeeze every possible drop out of this that we can in the most effective way possible.
I love it. Like the Chinese proverb says, you gotta be able to bend like the bamboo trees, right?
That's
The hardest
correct.
but you gotta
Yep.
bend with the wind. So I love it. Actually, I can tell you're thinking, Nick. You actually answer a lot of questions that I was gonna ask you before I even asked you. So I know that you guys are very mindful and you guys have everything laid out. which is great because I do
Well,
a lot of
thank you. I
AMA.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I do a lot of AMAs, and I just, just they're not ready. And you guys are on top of everything, and I love it. And that's what it takes to, for a business of this magnitude to succeed. Like, you really have to think everything thoroughly and ahead, right? And trying to eliminate as many errors as you can. But as you know, we know in the business you just can't do that. But at least you gotta think forward and try to eliminate those big mistakes if possible. And I feel like you guys have that in place already. Well, Nick, I'll tell you what, man. I'm very excited for your app. I look forward to your app being live. I know it's the ways away, like you said, Christmas. We're just like around 7 months away from here, and a full rollout on in 2025. But I look forward to your app being live, and I will be following your journey. I think this is a brilliant idea, and I really want to see it succeed. So with that, I know that right now you guys still have far away. Whenever you guys are ready for your app, come back. I'd like to chat with you guys again for your launch of the app, and it's on us. Okay.
Absolutely. Anytime, I'd be happy to come and join you for a conversation. Please feel free to reach out, and with very short notice, I'll be there for sure.
And it's just an update, so we don't have to go through the whole process again. Uh, yeah, I like everything about it. I think you guys have assembled. I looked at your team. I think you guys have a big team, a lot of knowledge and background within your team. So I think that's actually really good as well. I always invest in the team and the people, not necessarily the concept. And to me, it comes across that you guys have a very, very well put team together. So, uh,
Well, thank you. I'm very appreciative of your observations.
did we miss anything? Is there anything you wanna speak on before we take some questions, Nick?
No, no, please let the questions fire.
Okay, so hey, Mike, are you still there? So usually, Nick, if you go onto the site, I mean not site, the screen that we're on the comment, there's 97 comments, and there's a lot of questions on there. So I'm gonna go through.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna pick one. But if you see anything that you see that anything that we can answer, you can pick one yourself as well. If Mike's still here, Mike usually picks a question for me. But let me see if I can scroll up and pick a few questions here. Okay, so here from Mexis, I know that we touched on this a bit already, but let's. He says, how do you plan to onboard users and raise awareness to the platform or the app?
So the initial rollout will be for the customer loyalty program. With that, we're going to send a marketing package out to the strategic partners that decide to adopt our technology. And we're going to advertise directly to their customers in their locations, which is going to create, our initial wave of adoption, where people are downloading our app specifically to capture value in businesses that they already attend. And then once we move on to the digital advertising, which is a much more comprehensive rollout, we'll utilize all forms of traditional advertising to saturate an area with the idea that we're going to be there and doing cash coin drops. And we're going to basically advertise those events and then put stacks of cash out so that it will incentivize people to download the app because of the the extreme upside for their weekend possibly. So those are the two markets we plan on penetrating, and those are two strategic ways that we plan on introducing ourselves to them.
Awesome. So the next question is, I think we kind of like talked about through the whole AMA, but I think it's good to recap for those that may just join us recently here. So the question is, what are some of the key features of CatchCoin that set it apart from other mobile apps?
I mean, just the disruptive nature and the ability for a business to drive foot traffic. There's absolutely nothing like us out there. There's a couple of apps that work off a similar technology, but they have no commercial value really. And this just cuts all the fat and inefficiency out of the traditional digital advertising and customer loyalty markets, and it allows those merchants to interface directly with their customers and capture all that value that'll be left for them.
Awesome. So, pretty much direct to business, right? So targeted audience, they literally have to show up to the business. So I think that's going to be the key factors that's going to differentiate the platform here. All right, from
100%.
Benedict Lewis, or she or he asked, what insights can a merchant derive from analytics provided by CatchCoin?
I mean, they can see the exact customer profile for who's showing up at their business, and then they'll be able to differentiate for which one or which group of those profiles participated in the secondary promotion and which ones didn't, which would allow them to further which would allow them to further tweak their campaign to achieve a higher level of participants in the secondary promotion.
Well said. All right, guys. I think a lot of the questions that that I see here, I think they have been answered to the AMAs already. But at the end of the AMA here, I will pin the TG. Okay, so you guys can go over there, give a meaningful feedback on the AMA, or ask a question over there. Join the TG, and maybe Mike over there pick like a $10 win over there. Okay, but do not spam the room. Just give like a nice, meaningful feedback. And if you guys have more questions, you can also ask questions over there as well. Nick, that was a great presentation. I think you guys have all the strategies, all the plans in place, and that's what I love. I think you guys treating this as a real business. A lot of the projects come through here. They just want to spit out projects, and there isn't really a business model, right? So it's really nice to see a business that actually come prepare and actually have a real business and have thought through everything, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so it's really nice. It's been great chatting with you.
Yes, well, thank you for having us. And I mean, just to comment on that, I do notice myself as an investor that I see these projects where these guys know how to launch exactly, and they've done it 50 times, and they're feverishly looking for a new excuse to launch a new token. And it's just a repetitive factory pumping out this garbage. And that's like the exact opposite. We sat here with the technology and thought, what's the best way to bring this to the world? And we were all foundationally crypto blockchain lovers and thought this will be the most exciting way and probably the most beneficial way and the biggest way we could contribute ourselves to the Web3 and DeFi revolution by taking our technology and making it part of the incentivizing process of getting normal traditional business owners to consider Web3 and DeFi. So for us, it was super important from the other side of the angle. We weren't looking for a coin to figure out how to drop. We were looking for the best way to bring our business to the world. So I'm glad that you were able to see that and point it out, because that really, truly, at the depth of how we decided to do this, was the absolute motivation.
I definitely see it. I definitely see the vision and the mission, and I think it's actually necessary for the Web3. Time Web3. As everyone's in here. We love Web3. That's the reason why you guys are listening to this AMA, 184 people. So I think as the space evolves, I think if this project here implemented the way that they envisioned it to be, they'll be in the forefront of this marketing space. And I think when it comes to marketing, especially for businesses, is very lucrative side. I mean, it's huge. Look what Facebook is doing. Look what YouTube is doing. See, X is doing the same thing, right? That's through advertisement, right? But a lot of it is actually for them, right? Centralized still. Everything goes back to Facebook 100%. Google, you guys don't get a dime out of it. Now you have other people trying to, but it's not the way that Web3 is designed to do, right? Through the reflection, the passive income, through the taxes, right? And here they also want to give you guys 20% back, ultimately from the revenue generated as well. So I think if implemented correctly, and from my analysis, if you invest in right now and the project becomes successful, I think you pretty much good for retirement. I mean, that passes through passive income, right?
That's
but
it.
with that, but with that being said, of course, there's going to be hardship because this ecosystem is massive. It's pretty massive. But if I look at the team, how they had assembled the team, the people behind it, of course, there's going to be challenges and hardship, but I think I look forward to the journey, and I very much want to see the project succeed. So thank you so much, Nick, for being here.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it, and I'm happy to come back anytime.
Yeah, Nick, just
Okay.
whenever you guys want to come back, just give me. I think you guys, we have a private room there. Just give me a DM, and we don't have to go through the whole process again. And you say, hey, I want to come in. We'll get you right in.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Nick.
All
All
right.
right, guys. Well,
Take
that
care.
should wraps it up. Thank you so much. That wraps it up, guys. So we can go ahead and do the little giveaway for those who are listening right now. Let me see here. I'm gonna scroll down. I don't know. I'm gonna scroll down. I'm just gonna pick one winner, and we can do a little random number as well when I open up the room. Okay, let's do 1 to 250 since we have 177 participants left. Let's do 90CM. I'll tell you what. Since you have your hand raised, you are the winner of this. I see the manager has his hand raised. So the manager, what's up, man?